YouTube. Hopefully this thing worked. Gotta put this on, but we got the first YouTube video popping with the DJI camera. DJI mic. Today we making chicken pot pie. Never liked chicken pot pie growing up. I really wasn't a big fan of a lot of foods until I learned how to make them myself. So now that I know how to make it, we're gonna make it. It's gonna be topped off with like these homemade biscuits as a topping. I'm using broccoli instead of peas on the inside. So if you want peas, just use peas. But anyway, it's gonna be nice, savory, creamy, lots of flavor, lots of texture. Let me show you how to get done. First things first, I'm gonna be putting on some gloves. You know me, no glove, no love. I have these chicken breasts here. These are nice, really thick chicken breasts. We're gonna keep them nice and thick. I'm gonna season them, sear them off, and then we're gonna let them cook in some broth to get nice and tender. So I like to use avocado oil over olive oil. It's just a personal preference for me. If you wanna use olive oil, do your thing, baby. I just like avocado oil because it has a higher smoke point. Rub that chicken down with the avocado oil and lightly season the breast with some nature seasoning. The reason why we lightly season the chicken breast, because we don't want too much burnt seasoning in there. I'm really just seasoning it and searing it. You could just put it in the broth and let it cook in the broth, but I just feel like the sear adds more flavor to the chicken. Had that seasoning on there and we're ready to sear this chicken off. I got this nice enamel cast iron and I'm gonna get this over medium-high heat. And sear it in here and then I'm gonna transfer it to a bigger pot. That's gonna allow me to add the broth and then we'll just let that chicken boil and get nice and tender. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of avocado oil and just make sure that gets all over the bottom of the skillet. And I love enamel cast iron or regular cast iron when it comes to searing. It's nice, even heating all the way through, and these things are pretty easy to clean as well. We're gonna go ahead and drop that chicken off. Drop it off like Shannon Sharp did, baby. About to call this cast iron Michelle. All right, just let that do its thing for a few minutes. So this is actually my favorite sound. Meat searing off or sizzling in the skillet. Anything sizzling in the skillet for real. Nice, even sear. Nothing too much on here. Gonna go ahead and flip this over. Nice little light sear on the back side of that thing, all right? Flip it over and allow it to sear for a couple minutes on the other side as well. After we sear the chicken on each side, I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this to a larger pot that I can add some broth to, and then we're gonna let it come to a boil and allow the chicken to get really nice and tender. Ooh, that chicken look good right there, baby. We got Big Mama. We're gonna fill up Big Mama with a bunch of chicken broth right here. I love this kettle on fire chicken broth. Bone broth is even better, but I love the chicken broth too. So we're gonna fill this pot up with 2 of these. Then we're just gonna drop those chicken breasts that we had right into this broth. Boom. We're just gonna bring this to a boil, a medium-high heat, and then just allow the chicken to get nice and tender enough to shred it up. 30 to 45 minutes, we'll be good. Now let's talk the veggies for the inside of the chicken pot pie mixture. We got some carrots, I got 3 of them, 4 stalks of celery, 1 whole yellow onion, a head of broccoli, if that's what you call it. Now a lot of people normally use frozen peas, but I like broccoli. So instead of the peas, I'm gonna add broccoli, right? Broccoli, yellow onion, celery, and carrot. Let's break this all down. So first things first, for the carrots, when I go to peel my carrots, I like to put a paper towel down, right? It just allows me to peel these carrots and then not get all over the place, and I can just toss it right away. Y'all will see what I'm talking about. Up and down with my peeler. Tell y'all a quick story. When I was younger, my sister had peeled a sweet potato just like this, and then she told my older sister that her skin was peeling, and my older sister got all sick, like she was about to start like throwing up and stuff. But I won't forget it. And if y'all ever see my mom on the channel, make sure y'all remind her about it too. Turn these into some batons. So you can either dice the carrot or keep it thicker. Personal preference at this point. All right, now for the celery, chop the bottom off, keeping my fingers tucked so that we don't chop any fingers off. Now it's time to chop up this good old onion. I like to keep a scrap bowl beside me so that we can get rid of all of this. Scrap bowl actually helps me a lot so I don't have to keep walking back and forth to the trash. When you start crying like Tyrese, that means it's time to, sharpen your knife out. And last but not least, we got some broccoli. I'm just gonna go around, cut these pieces right on off, just like that. All right, so we got these broccoli stems. I'm just gonna slice them into smaller pieces, all right? I'm one of those kids that grew up eating broccoli and cheese, loved broccoli and cheddar soup. That's me. All day. We got all our veggies prepped. We got the onions, we got celery, carrot, keeping the broccoli to the side because that's actually gonna get added last with the chicken. Now that the veggies done, let's make these biscuits. So now that we have all the veggies prepped, next we wanna work on while the chicken is still getting nice and tender back there is the biscuits. These are gonna be homemade biscuits. The link for the full recipe for these biscuits is gonna be in the description below, my YouTube family. It's a really simple biscuit recipe, right? We're using all-purpose flour, not any self-rising flour. So we're gonna go with about 2.5 cups of flour. So this is a 1/2 cup scoop, that's 1 cup. Another half, that's 2 cups, and we're gonna get a big scoop right here, and y'all see why in a minute. 2.5 cups of flour, okay? I know it looks like 3, but just trust me. Next, we're gonna go with about a 1/4 cup of sugar. Boom, 1/4 cup of sugar. A few teaspoons of baking powder. So we're gonna go with 1, 2, 3, 4. teaspoons of baking powder. We'll go with about a half a teaspoon of baking soda. The last dry ingredient, teaspoon of salt. And these are all the dry ingredients, so now you just go ahead and whisk them up. So now that we got the dry ingredients all incorporated, I got about a stick unsalted, no, this is salted butter actually. You can use salted or unsalted. I usually go with about a teaspoon of salt, but since I only went with like a little pinch of salt, I'm able to use the salted butter. Use at your own risk. I like to use unsalted butter normally because it allows me to be able to add as much salt as I want to. I've done this for a long time, so I know. I'm just gonna grate this butter right into this dry mixture, right? Shred the butter right up in there. We're gonna kind of use our hands to mix the butter into the flour, and then we'll move on to the buttermilk next and kind of see the crumbs that have formed from the butter. So for the next step, we're gonna use about 1.25 cups of buttermilk. Create a little well in the center, pour that buttermilk right into the middle of the well. It's gonna be buttermilk biscuits, baby. You just wanna lightly start to mix that together till you form a little dough. Make sure there's nothing really holding on to the sides of the bowl anymore. And it should come out looking just like that. It's like magic. I got another cutting board. We're gonna make sure that we flour this surface really well. Roll this thing out onto the cutting board, and we'll kind of knead the dough just a little bit. As you can see, it's slightly sticking, not too much. The reason why we have the extra flour on the board is to help us keep this from being sticky and sticking to our hands without overworking it. A little biscuit dough ball right here. Once you get your little biscuit dough ball, you wanna go ahead and press it out. You can do a circle, you can do a rectangle, do a square, teach your kids different shapes. But the whole purpose of spreading this out is so that we can start to create those flaky layers. If you can see right there, the little knobs of butter throughout, this is gonna melt and then just help to steam, help the biscuits rise as it steams in the oven. You're gonna flip from the back to the front, turn it 90 degrees, back to the front, and then spread it out again. It's how biscuits got flaky layers, man. It's about to have me out of breath, Jesus Christ. And just do this a few times, just get some nice layers on the biscuits. Spread this out to about 1/2 inch thick. We're gonna use our biscuit mold to start cutting out the biscuits. I'm gonna flour the biscuit cutter just a little bit so it doesn't stick. We're just gonna go and press straight down and straight up. All right, see how many biscuits we can get out of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's why I say you could do this with the kids, because you can see if they could count or not. All right, see what the teacher's been teaching them. 6, 7, and then we'll get some more after that. All right, that's what the biscuit looks like. Look at that, 12. 12 biscuits out of this. I'm about to say donuts. So once we got the biscuits all done, just let these chill in the fridge while we make the filling for the chicken pot pie. It's been about 45 minutes, and we're gonna check on this chicken. Chicken is nice and tender. It's already breaking apart. So I'm being very careful. I'm gonna put the chicken aside, and it's tender, it's hot, it smells real good. And now what we left with is this nice rich broth that's full of flavor, and it's got all that chicken flavor in it, so it kind of gives you like a homemade feel, even though we use broth that came in a container. So you just wanna be really careful doing this, because yes, the chicken is still pretty hot, but as y'all can see, the chicken is shredding up really easily. We'll go ahead and give this chicken a good old shred it up. Man, that's gonna be so good. You could also use like the blender technique where you use like hand mixer or hand blender. Look at that chicken right there, baby. Beautiful shredded chicken right there. Y'all want some? All right, so now back into the same cast iron that we used to sear the chicken off, we're gonna add the veggies, that mirepoix. We wanna let the moisture from the veggies release and sweat down so it picks up all that foam from the bottom of the skillet. And we'll deglaze as well later with the chicken broth that we just used to cook the chicken in. But just sweat these down until the onions, carrots, and celery start to get nice and soft. The onions will be translucent, but so will the celery and the carrots. You'll be able to see the texture change. To this mixture, I wanna add about 4 tablespoons of butter and just mix that in. We're also gonna add that garlic. Like I said, garlic paste works, or 4 to 6 cloves minced garlic. Get that a good mix. Now to that, you wanna add about 1/3 cup of flour. Mix that up, cook it for a couple minutes until all that flour gets cooked out. So, you know, it could be anywhere from 1 minute to 2 minutes. All right, you just won't want to be able to see any flour. If it looks just like that, all thick. So after a couple minutes, we're just gonna ladle some of that chicken broth right into this pan to help deglaze everything. You don't want to do it all at one time, just a little bit at a time, and then just mix it in. Doing it this way actually helps you determine just how thick it's gonna be, how much you need to add, because sometimes you might end up adding too much if you do it all at one time. It's your call based on how much you want to add. It's starting to form like a little gravy. Oh my God, it look good. Okay, so to this, we're gonna add maybe 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Boom. Let's see if 1/4 cup's enough. Oh, that looks so good. 1/4 was good enough for me. Look at that. All right, so next step, remember I said we're doing broccoli. We're not doing peas, we're doing broccoli, okay? So we're gonna add the broccoli right up in there. After we add the broccoli, we're gonna add the chicken in as well. I'm gonna save a little bit for Cam when he get home. All right, and get us a good mix. Flavors and powers combined like Captain Planet, baby. We're gonna hit this with a little bit of nature seasoning. Oh my. But I got a little bit of Italian seasoning. We're gonna get a little bit of that up in here, okay? Maybe about a teaspoon or so. And give it one more mix. Next, we're just gonna add a little bit of bouillon, just to enhance the chicken flavor, okay? As if we don't have enough. And a dash of Worcestershire or two. 1, 2. So now that our mixture, the filling is done, we're gonna take these biscuits that we had chilling in the fridge, just sit the biscuits right on top. So this is gonna be like our crust. Ooh. I'm about to whip up a little egg wash to brush the top of these with. Egg wash is really just milk and eggs or water and egg, and carefully just brush the tops of the biscuits. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm trying to be careful that I don't sink them too far into the sauce. You know why I didn't like chicken pot pie growing up? I think it's because it didn't have cheese in it. I used to be in love with cheese even more than I am now. I'm gonna put them into a 400-degree oven, maybe 12 to 15 minutes. Biscuits rise and they get nice and brown, and I'll see y'all in a minute. Ooh, that look good. All right, so first things first, we're just gonna garnish this with a little bit of chive, all right? You don't have to use chives, you use parsley, use whatever you want. All right, so we're gonna dig in and see exactly what this look like. And Jesus Christ, oh my gosh. Get into, oh my God, that biscuit is so fluffy. Lord be with me. The biscuit is fluffy. It's about to drop. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to put this plate down. I'm gonna just let y'all know, grandma ain't got nothing on this one right here. Y'all gotta try this recipe out. Let me know when y'all do. You already know. It's a wrap. Let's go.